If we've learned one thing from American politics, that is follow the money. Not only is the money going to lead you to scandals such as Matt Gaetz, but it's also going to tell you who corporate America is betting on to be the next leader. And if we follow the money right now in the Republican race, we find that the next leader that is basically already being anointed by Republican megadonors is Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. According to new reports, megadonors from all over the country are showering our Trump-loving governor with cash. Now, it's true that Ron DeSantis is, of course, up for re-election in 2022. That would be his second term as governor. Right now, he's only been in office a little over 2 years. But apparently that was enough for these Republican donors, again, not just in Florida, but all over the country, to flock to DeSantis as the future of the Republican Party. You even have one donor from New York who says he's a nicer version of Trump. Another one says he's in the top tier should he choose to run for president. And a third even says he has a major political future in the Republican Party. He's a strong candidate I would truly look at. Okay, let's look at it. A little over 2 years, what's he done for the state of Florida? Well, in terms of the pandemic, which has taken up most of his tenure here, he's done a horrible job. He's obviously already embroiled in a scandal where there could be a little bit of pay to play with Publix giving him $100,000 in December. Then the next month he announces, hey, Publix is the only public pharmacy I'm going to allow to give the COVID vaccine in the first, couple of rounds of vaccine doses. So there's that. There's also the fact that much like Cuomo in New York, he attempted to edit the death rate of COVID here in Florida so that it made our state look a little better. So there's that. We have the scientist who came out and said she was fired for trying to accurately report the data and for not skewing it the way the Florida government, led by DeSantis, wanted her to do. Then, of course, you have his repeated attacks on minority populations here in the state of Florida, including an overwhelmingly African-American population of former prisoners that were about to get their right to vote back, but DeSantis signed that ridiculous poll tax into law, preventing tens of thousands of them, actually well over 100,000, from actually getting their right to vote back. Oh, and of course, we also now have the transgender bill that he is likely going to sign, which will allow state officials to question and allow for medical examination of a young woman's genitals, to make sure she's not secretly a dude when trying to play high school or college sports. So there's his record. That's taking a closer look at Ron DeSantis. But sure, he's a nicer version of Trump. He's not quite as abrasive, right? Well, actually, he is. He's just as combative with the press, except he doesn't have Donald Trump's charisma. He comes across as a cornered rat, lashing out at the public, angry and feral. That's the Ron DeSantis that those of us down here in Florida know. And we know that all too well. But, as per usual, he's been a good friend to the wealthy and powerful, allowing them to get the vaccine before most of the rest of the population, specifically driving it, literally, through wealthy neighborhoods so they could come out of their wealthy mansions, get the vaccine, and walk back inside no problem at all. So I can see why that would appeal to these wealthy Republican donors, sure. But DeSantis does have some baggage. And yes, he is a lot like Donald Trump. In fact, in 2018, when he ran for governor, he ran on the I Love Donald Trump platform, did a little ad campaign with his 2-year-old daughter where she had some blocks. And he's like, that's right, sweetie, build the wall. We're in Florida, not exactly a border town. We do have a lot of immigrants here, though. But of course, he sucks up to them and talks about the horrors of socialism from the Democrats, which isn't even a real thing. But it's enough to scare that population into voting Republican, unfortunately. So that's the DeSantis that we know. And apparently, instead of thinking this guy's career might be over once he leaves the governor's mansion in Florida, he could, in fact, be the next Republican nominee. And trust me, as somebody who's lived under his rule for, again, just two years, yeah, that's a scary thought for America.